And good evening and welcome to Pittsburgh Sports Tonight. How you doing, folks? John Phillips here. We're going to let a few of you folks get into the live stream here in the next couple of minutes, and we'll get underway with our broadcast tonight. I am in South Carolina. I am completely sick as a dog. And it's a pleasure to be able to talk to you. Last week was a rough week because I was on the road in Memphis, Tennessee, and I just didn't have the capability of doing 3 shows last week. Bill Akins was kind enough to fill in for me on Monday. I had meetings, and then when I got done around 6:30, I ran back to my hotel. It was a little after 7 o'clock, and then it's 7 o'clock Eastern time and 6 o'clock Central, and he had gotten on the show, and then I was staying in the downtown area and was able to pop on with him for about a half an hour. Got a chance to go check out the Memphis Grizzlies. I saw a good friend that I hadn't seen in over 30 years, somebody I had worked with many, many years ago, and it was just nice to be able to just see him for a few minutes. He does pregame, postgame on FanDuel TV for the Grizzlies. He does talk shows. He's been a staple in the Memphis market for 20-plus years. It was good to see Fish for the first time in 30. Last time I saw this guy, and I had to remind him of this because I asked him, I said, "You remember the last time we saw each other?" He goes, "No." So he's from the St. Louis area originally. And if you're just jumping on board, good evening. You're welcome to leave comments. We love your comments. If you want to leave a comment, please do so. But I hadn't seen him since 1996 when he flew in to Pittsburgh on a connecting flight. We had worked together in Las Vegas at a sports network. He went back to St. Louis after I had gone back to Pittsburgh, and he took a job with the St. Louis indoor soccer team. He was doing radio and some other things. And they were playing either in New York or Philadelphia, and they had a connecting flight in Pittsburgh on the way back through U.S. Air. And that's when you could go into the airport. There was no TSA before 9/11. And he's like, "Hey, you want to meet me for a meal at the airport?" And I went to the Pittsburgh airport, and I found his gate. We sat down and had a meal and a toddy, and it was 1996. So we hadn't seen each other in 30 years. So that was a good time. And, I'm 56 now. And when you get to this stage of life, you make efforts to find people that you haven't seen in a long time. It was good to see Rob Fisher in Memphis. I told him, I said, I'll try to catch up with you here in a few weeks when I come back to Memphis, because your boy JP is killing it at his day job. Down here in South Carolina, putting some people to work tomorrow. Saw some contractors this afternoon. Sorry about no show last night. I got a call at 3:45, and by 5 o'clock, I was in my car driving to Blacksburg, Virginia, where my corporate office is, and we had some intense meetings this morning on a few things. And then by about 10:45, I was on my way down to Charlotte and upstate of South Carolina. And now I'm here in Spartanburg. So, all right, enough about my dreary life in the construction business. Let's talk a little bit about Kyler. All right. I guess the big news is that Kyler Murray is not going to be retained by the Arizona Cardinals. They are going to exercise their option to release him. So he's going to become a free agent. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, here's an opportunity. And I'm not saying you got to take a 3 or 4 year shot on a guy like Kyler Murray. Okay. A Kyler Murray is probably somebody who will take a year with an option, and you could probably get for around the same price, maybe a little bit more than you are in Aaron Rodgers. And I think there's an upside to that. And again, no offense to Aaron Rodgers, right? If I'm the Steelers, he should be on a clock. He's got a week to make a decision. Quite frankly, they should probably know sooner. They probably have a pretty good idea as it is. But if you are the Steelers, I think you've got to make a serious run at a Kyler Murray. And Murray is not, I don't think Murray's going to command a 3-year deal anywhere. I think Kyler Murray is the kind of quarterback where you don't know what you're getting, and a year plus an option is a safe play. I think that's what Kyler's looking, unless somebody's enamored by him, right? Like they're just really sold on him and they're willing to give him 3 years. I don't know if Murray is worth a 3-year contract. But what I will say is that if you can convince him to come to Pittsburgh on a year plus an option, you have opportunity to maybe be a little bit better than with a 42-year-old, soon to be 43-year-old Aaron Rodgers. I'm curious as to how you feel about all of that. You're welcome to drop a comment in our comment section if you're on our YouTube page or if you're on Facebook. We'll see where people are at tonight. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and X today. So please stop by our page, drop a comment. You're welcome to share your opinion, and we would love to hear from you. There's obviously more to talk about when it comes to the Steelers. I think obviously Kenny Gainwell is priority one. I think that story will come down on the 11th. I think that story will come down on the first or within 24 hours of the first day of free agency. I don't think Kenny Gainwell is going to last very long. Okay. I'm seeing news now that Trey Hendrickson is not being tagged. He's going to become an unrestricted free agent from Cincinnati. We can talk about some of this stuff as we move along in the course of the show. But for Kyler Murray to be able to come to Pittsburgh on a 2-year deal, 1 plus an option, if you're Kyler Murray, how do you say no to a franchise like the Steelers? To go from like an Arizona franchise that has struggled through, 70? They're the oldest franchise in the league, right? They're the oldest franchise in the league. I don't know if anybody knows that or not, but they are the oldest one. It's been 77 years since they won a championship. They're just not. They're at the bottom. If you're a Kyler, do you try to resurrect yourself and beat off some of the naysayers and what they have, said about you after your 4-year run here in Arizona? Do the Steelers go after him? I would much rather sink with a Kyler Murray than win 9 or 10 games and lose in the wild card with an Aaron Rodgers. I just would. I would prefer that, quite frankly, because that after next season, Rodgers has got to be done. Why wouldn't you make a real run at a guy like Murray and try to make some sort of effort to connect with him on a deal that has that option? And if he has that good season, that option could be extended maybe 2 seasons, right? You give him more money in year 2. You extend him another year with another option. Or if he's really good, right? If he is somebody that takes you to the playoffs and you win a game with him, heaven forbid. Now you've made some progress. Now you've made some real progress. Oh, okay. Little delay there. We don't know what the future holds under Mike McCarthy. We have no idea, right? Unless the Rodgers thing has already been settled and they're just being quiet about it, I think Kyler Murray is a legitimate candidate should be looking at. I'm curious to find out if anybody agrees or not. You're welcome to leave a comment. I'm happy to talk to you about it. I think it's a good situation for the Steelers. I don't know if anybody thought Murray. I know there was a question on whether or not Arizona would, exercise their option to, release him, and they're going to. They're going to. They're going to. They're going to pick high in the draft, and they are going to have an opportunity maybe to, improve themselves somewhere. Again, the free agent market does not look good for quarterbacks, right? Malik Willis, now Kyler Murray. Not a ton of great options, but I would think that Murray presents an opportunity for the Steelers to be better, or at least give yourself a chance to see what he can do under Mike McCarthy in that system with real weapons, right? He's got a DK Metcalf. He's got a Freiermuth. If you bring back Gainwell and add a free agent wide receiver, you pick up people in the draft, and you do what your due diligence in drafting with 12 picks, whether you make some trades or not, I personally think they need to use all 12 picks. Unless you're moving up to 2 or 3 to take one of the stud wide receivers, I think you should use all 12. Maybe you take a Ty Simpson in the first round. Maybe he could drop to the second round. Maybe you take a wide receiver at 1. Even if you sign a Kyler Murray, what's to say you don't take a Ty Simpson, right? We don't know where Mason's going to be just yet. They could potentially cut him if they wanted to. But I don't think you're going to go into a year, if you sign a Kyler Murray, I don't think you're going to go into a year with a rookie quarterback who you pick in round 1 or 2, and then a Will Howard who saw no playing time whatsoever due to injury in the preseason, and he's just a 6th-round pick. And I know a lot of people are enamored with him. Me personally, I'm not. He's a 6th-round pick, right? There's only a handful of quarterbacks that have come out in the 6th round. My nose is just draining, folks. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry you have to watch that. It's been like this since last night. I can't wait for I don't normally say this because I really enjoy just coming on and having an hour to myself. And there's about 15 of you right now coming in here, and by the end of the show, we'll probably hit 30 or 40 people, and I'm happy about that. We're going to grow the show naturally and organically, and I appreciate those of you that are checking us out. If you're on YouTube, if you're on X, you're welcome to drop a comment and let us know what you think about potentially going after Kyler Murray. We'll be more than happy to discuss that for a little bit longer. I want to talk about the Pirates as well. I think that that's important. I would like to talk about the Pirates because I just think that they're off to an amazing start in preseason play. And so, I think that talking about them is important. But yeah, as we look at Kyler Murray highlights here, I mean, he's, again, I know that he is smaller than you would have normally. You might want your quarterback to be a little bit bigger, but he is definitely mobile and relatively healthy. I mean, he's had a few small injuries here and there, but nothing that I would think is something that scares me away from, again, a 2-year deal, one and an option. And if things are, again, if it's upside in that season, now you've got a chance to work a little bit longer term deal, give him more money, give him more security, right? These guys only have so long to play. He has intangibles. He has some intangibles to him. I think that there's definitely an opportunity there. I think there's an opportunity there for the Steelers to make a choice and grab themselves somebody that I think is a better option than Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not saying I wouldn't take Rodgers back, but when you see a Kyler Murray now become available because the Cardinals are going to let him go, if you're Pittsburgh, you have to look at that as an improvement to your roster. You have to look at it that way. There's no other way around that. He's an improvement. And if you don't think so, that's fine. But again, if you're really trying to build towards something bigger, right, and you've got this new head coach, you've got this new regime in, they are offensive minded, you've got probably better weaponry than the team he just came for. And I'm not trying to knock James Conner or, trying to remember what was Marvin Harrison Jr. I think plays out there. You've got a little bit more weaponry offensively. Jalen Warren, I think you put Murray in that situation, right? You get yourself a decent deal with him. You find a way to get a very favorable deal with him, one in an option. If it's 10 million, 12 million, I have no idea what the cap hit's going to be for Arizona. I don't know if they're going to pick up any money or not. I just saw that he got released or is going to be released so that he can become a free agent. And then, now you got to start looking at the details in the contracts and what the NFL stipulates. And for Kyler Murray, I would take him in a heartbeat. Absolutely take him in a heartbeat. Where are the Steelers at defensively? I've heard the chirping about, trade TJ Watt. What are they going to do with Nick Herbig? How do they play this out with Alonzo Highsmith? And you have to figure out a way. You have to figure out a way to try to get all three of those guys on the field as much as possible. I think. Figure it out. Right? You're getting Cam Hayward back for what? One more season? I don't know if I'm thrilled about that or not. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the defense right now. I know that's an issue for some people, right? It was an issue, $151 million, and they couldn't stop anybody last year. They certainly couldn't stop a nosebleed. That was a problem. And again, 4 players maybe defensively. I don't think they're obviously a quarterback away offensively and filling up that wide receiver 2 position. I mean, you have a good draft and you get just enough key people in the free agent side of things. You're right back in the mix potentially. This is not a horrible football team. They did make the playoffs. Weak division, right? Quarterbacks were hurt. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Cleveland's a train wreck as they have ever been. You benefit from that. You win somehow the division, right? You have a 10-win season. The same results. They have to win a playoff game this year, right? Here's what I'm saying. They either win a playoff game this year or they go 4-13. I'd take 4-13. I'd take 5-12. I just don't want to be like 7-10 or 8-9 or 6-11. I want to be in that. If I'm going to watch this team suffer, I want to see 4 or 5 wins because I want that top 10, top 8, top 7 pick. Because now you have some mojo. And again, this is a blessed year for them with the draft in Pittsburgh, and they're going to have all these selections, right? Next year is another year. Who knows? Point being is that now we're approaching about 60 days away, a little less than that actually, about 60, a little less than 60 days away from the NFL draft. And the Steelers have an opportunity here to really, over the next 8-9 days, continue to assess. They just had the combine, right? They've gotten a look at the key, kids coming out of college. They've got their boards. And they're starting a game plan. They're going to move into free agency here. Now they've got a week or so, just a little over a week to prepare. It's the 11th. March 11th is when free agency begins. I'd like to see them get Gainwell knocked out pretty quickly. And then from there, maybe a Kyler Murray. I'm sure conversations are already starting to take place. Back channel conversations starting to take place with his representation and teams that are potentially interested. And if the Steelers aren't one of them, shame on them, unless they know Aaron Rodgers is coming back. I still think he's worth a phone call. If you have something to say about it, please drop a comment. Okay, we can jump back into some Steelers in a little bit. I want to talk about the Pirates. I can't believe this team is 9-2. It's only Grapefruit League, right? I'm not one of these guys that'll be like, they're going to win the division, right? But a 9-2 start to your season in Grapefruit when Connor Griffin has launched 3 home runs that were just bombs. It's almost it's funny because I was somewhere, it might have been Friday or Saturday, running around doing some things, and I heard a couple of people talking about Murray and if he was going to be the starting day shortstop at 19 years old, right? It's been a long time. I don't even know. Barry Bonds was 21 when he got called up. I'm almost certain he was 21. I don't see the Pirates bringing him up for opening day as much as they probably need him, right? He should probably be the opening day starter at shortstop. But because they'll lose control and his free agent clock would start sooner, we know that the Pirates are going to sit on him, and he's going to start in Double-A Altoona. And it's going to take him a few months probably to get called up to Triple-A. And, the earliest he could probably see Pittsburgh is August or probably September based on the clock, based on his free agency clock. But to watch him swing a bat, he is massive. That is a specimen if I've ever seen one. And apparently very polite and just a good-natured young man, very friendly with the fans. I mean, you can't ask for more from this 19-year-old, but he's going to start the season in Altoona, without question. Without question. Even though I would like to see him as the opening day starter at shortstop. I don't really have much to say about the pitching rotation. I was trying to glance at some numbers here in the exhibition season. I wanted to pull up some player stats. Not a whole lot that there is. O'Neal Cruz, had 7 hits so far in the exhibition season. He's having a nice spring. Obviously, the Connor Griffin story is really, really good. Nick Gonzalez having a nice exhibition season as well with 7 hits. So some of these guys are taking some swings and they're connecting with the baseball. But the fact of the matter is the pitching rotations. The starters are going to get a couple innings and that's it, right? And we'll see how things play out over the next 3 weeks. I think the season actually starts on the 26th. They're on the road. The Pirates begin the season on the road. And I'm pulling up their schedule right now. They begin the regular season in New York to take on the Mets. That's a Thursday afternoon game. I'm entertaining the idea of going up there for that. I don't know. They'll be off on Friday, and then they'll finish out the weekend, which is odd, but that's just how baseball has become these days. And they go to Cincinnati for 3 games before they begin their season here at home with a 3-game stand against, of course, the Baltimore Orioles. They're heated rivals over the decades. And then the Padres are coming to town. So, baseball is here. Baseball is back. And, a good start for the Pirates. Nothing that I'm going to read into for something that is just nothing more than exhibition play. Exhibition play. It's terrible. This knows my oldest daughter. I have 2 daughters. I have a 25 son. My son will be 25 here. He's going to Japan in a couple of weeks. He turns 25. He'll be in Japan. But I have 2 daughters. My 13-year-old, she's about to turn 14. She's an 8th grader, and she had a sleepover this weekend. I know she brought something back with her because my wife and I yesterday just kind of were like feeling a little lethargic. Then I had to get a call, and I start driving, and my nose is running. She's not feeling well. And then today I wake up, I'm just like a mess. And she called me about 11:30. She's like, "I feel terrible." I'm like, "So do I." Kid brought something back. They're petri dishes at this age, right? They get around 3-4 of their friends, and next thing you know, every communicable disease that they have has been dragged back home. And now I'm sitting here trying to, get through a show here as I have myself a good time just talking along. Again, if you have some comments, if you would like to chime in on something, you are welcome to do so. Whether it's on our YouTube channel or if it's on our X pages, we're happy to, talk a little bit about whatever it is that you might have to say about some of the tough subject matter. Penguins are currently in progress. It looks like they're on the road tonight, and they are in Boston taking on the Bruins. They're in the middle stages of the first period, and it's already 2-1 Boston. So they're off and running there in Beantown. The Penguins right now, as I look at the standings in the National Hockey League, they're not in a bad position. I know Sidney Crosby, and we addressed this a little bit last week. on the abbreviated show that I had, or a portion of the show that I was involved in last week. Look, losing Sidney Crosby to an injury in the Olympics is obviously not ideal, right? Not ideal for the Penguins. But they came out of the gates right away, and they performed well. They won some games, and they've maintained their position, at least in the Metropolitan. They're still tied for second place in the Metropolitan Division with the Islanders at 75 points. The Canadians are in the other division. They're in the Atlantic Division. They have 75, in Boston as well. So right now in the Metropolitan, the Penguins are hanging on pretty decent right now. When you look at the Eastern Conference standings, when it comes down to the playoffs, as I'm looking at it, the Penguins currently sitting in second place in the Metropolitan Division. So an opportunity for them to continue to keep playing well and maybe eventually get a home playoff series where they have the advantage to begin the Stanley Cup playoffs. Still about 6 weeks away from all of that. A lot of hockey to be played. In fact, if I go back and look at it again, the Penguins have played a total of 59 games. So they've got another 22 to go after tonight. How long will Crosby be out? People are still mad about the injury and why, should he have played? Should the NHL let their players go to the Olympics? It has a major impact, obviously, on the season. Look, they can't play the Winter Olympics in July, folks. They can't do it. It doesn't work that way. I have no problem with it. They want to win Olympic gold. They're only going to get an opportunity to play for an Olympic gold maybe four times in their career, right? If they're lucky, 5 times in their career. And remember, they didn't start using NHL players until I think it was the late 90s. Mid-late 90s. I think it might have been 98. So there's only been so many opportunities for these guys to play for an Olympic gold medal. And that's important. I think when you're a professional athlete and you are the 1% of the 1%, if you're somebody that is just committed to being, physically fit, being the best at what you do, because you have a short window to not just earn money, but compete at the highest level of what you do for a living, an Olympic gold medal is a high priority every 4 years. If the NHL is going to commit players to the Olympics, it's going to be important to players that have host nations that will field teams. Whether it's Finland, Sweden, the U.S., Canada, France had a team this year. Bet against them a couple of times and won a few chocolate chip cookies. Germany, right? You have a small window, right? A finite window. And he's already won a couple gold medals. And he wanted one more because this is it for him, right? This is the end of the road for Sidney Crosby. He's not going to be, in 4 years, assuming we're not, blown up by nuclear weapons, in 4 years, he's going to be retired. And he's not going to play for Canada. He'd be like 42 or 43 at that point. I can't, he's not going to play. So this was probably it for him. And he sustains an injury. People get upset about that. The guy wanted to go out and win a gold medal. Turns out he couldn't even play in the gold medal game. He ends up getting silver. Canada loses overtime. USA, first gold medal in 46 years. It was a little crazy last week on the street, on Beale Street in Memphis, just kind of talking about a hodgepodge of just different things. But I wanted to get that kind of back off my chest a little bit here. And I really didn't get into that too much last week. I thought it would be kind of just interesting to just kind of bring up here as we're about the halfway mark here. We appreciate you being on with us this evening. Close to 30 of you right now. Appreciate all of your eyeballs. Please tell some friends. Like and subscribe. If you have not liked the YouTube channel, please like the YouTube channel. We will be back in here again tomorrow, I should tell you. We will be back here at 7 o'clock. I'll be in the palatial digs here at this fine establishment that I am staying in. And I should also mention that we are, of course, a part of the It's a Wrap Sports Network. It's a Wrap Sports, weekly shows, 6 days a week, live programming. Saturdays are usually reruns of what we've done. But that's the It's a Wrap Sports Network, Maddie B and the crew out east in Philadelphia. A lot of Philadelphia-centric shows, as you can see. They'll be talking Flyers and Leafs. They talk Flyers and Leafs. Tonight, Maddie B will have his final word show on. This is Maddie B's network. We're appreciative of him. Helped me get on the air tonight. I was in a little bit of a scramble, but Maddie B is fantastic. We love working with him, and they show us a lot of love and support. Al Zafari, there's a guy right there. If anybody embodies Philadelphia, it's that guy right there. He does a Friday night show at 9 o'clock, Philly Friday Frenzy. And then on Sundays, I'll plug the Sunday show because I've been on before. Al and Mike Loro host Philly AM Sports. Sometimes Maddie B's on there. They had me on a little while back to talk about Mike McCarthy coming on board. That's a live show on Sundays at 9 o'clock. The It's a Wrap Sports Network. You should check them out. And as I mentioned before, please, folks, go follow us on social media. Tell some friends at Steel City Sunday on all the social media sites. We would love to have you following us. More programming. I am working on April and the NFL draft. We're starting to have a few, at least, conversations with a couple places. If we can't be downtown, we're going to be dead in the water. I want to be on the north side, so we're working on that. And I'm going to sever an arm if I have to make it happen. I may actually lose an arm to do so. If I had to, I probably would. But our goal, our plan, my plan, and then, everybody else from, Paul Zeiss to Jerry DePaula, John Fedko and others. We get some sponsors and we have a place to broadcast from. The plan is to do 4 nights from down at the draft. We were trying to convince one of the establishments to host us, and it's a layup for them in terms of business. The question is, do they want the extra entertainment to support us? I'm hoping to have an answer by the end of the month, and I'm going to keep selling it until a week before. I'll sell literally up to the week of the draft if I can, but I want to be down there. I think it's a game changer for us. With almost a million people. They're saying 1 million people are going to come to Pittsburgh. God help us. God help us. I'm going to have 80 rolls of toilet paper purchased. I might have 160, about 1,000 cases of water. I'm going to have a ton of stuff where I don't have to go anywhere for 4 days, because there will be no room anywhere. There's going to be no room in any of the hotels within a 70-mile radius of this town. If you want to get into the city during the draft, if you don't leave at 3 a.m., right, if you're not taking public transit, and that's not a guarantee, if you're not taking public transit, or if you're not on the East Busway taking one of the P1s or any of the Flyers, that will avoid the parkways and everything else, everybody and their brother is going to be trying to get through a tunnel or over a bridge. And the people that have never been here, people will be self-combusting. This city, I thought, had better roadways and infrastructure. It doesn't. We have 300 bridges and we have 3 tunnels. Pick one and good luck. Good luck. I've seen some of the Airbnb pricing. I don't even know how people afford it, but they do, right? This is a big deal every single year. The city is really going out of its way, as they should. I'm sorry I'm doing that in front of you, folks. I'm just a mess, sick, and just a total train wreck right now, but that's okay. We're going to power through here for the next 20 minutes, and we'll cut the show a few minutes early. I want to believe that we're going to be able to somehow survive this. I didn't say pull it off, right? Everybody was wondering how the setup was going to be, right? They're going to obviously sacrifice a lot of parking space to have human bodies in it. I'll be curious to see if they open up the stadium. They should. They should open up the stadium and the field, and that should be probably by invite or by sale. I don't know what their plans are. I know that they had a backdrop not too long ago. They had a backdrop a few weeks ago. I'm going to see if I can pull this up. I don't know if any of you probably saw it, but I think that there's opportunity if they're going to use the stadium, because the idea is to put a stage in front of Acrisure that faces stage AE, right? Like that's the plan right now. The plan is for them to have a big stage there. I think that's Rooney Way, where they're at right there. I can't remember the streets exactly, but they're going to have a big stage there, and that's where they're going to kind of run things. And I think that if they open up the stadium, right, they would be smart to do it. I think they would be smart to do it and have it that way. And and now you've got more people. Now you've got more space to have more people that can enjoy, the event itself. And that's what we're talking about here, right? Like we're talking about being able to host all these people that are going to come here. And look, the way things have been built up, you've got more parking garages now. You have less actual space itself. You've got hotels. You've got restaurants. You've got all this entertainment. And so that area isn't it isn't as open as it once was. Okay. It isn't open as it once was. And I'm going to have a little picture up here in a second for those of you that may not have seen it for some strange reason. It now allows 60, 70,000 more people. If you use the field, another 10,000 people. I know they're getting that's a sore subject in and of itself. I know they're getting a new field. Here's what it's going to look like, right? Maybe they're not going to use the stadium. I think it's a bad idea. I don't know. I would like to think that they're going to use the stadium, but I don't think they are. I am, I'll be a little surprised. I don't know where 750,000 people are going to converge. I would imagine that, over on the Point, they'll have people. But, if you're talking like some of these cities, Chicago, Detroit, that have hosted, they have these massive spaces. They're bigger cities, obviously. But how many people are going to fit in that area? Maybe 100,000? Maybe 125? How many, do they open up PNC Park? The Clemente Bridge? Where are 500,000 people going to be at for this thing? On the other side of the stadium? I think you almost have to open up the stadium to make that work. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe that, they've got this all figured out. I hope they have it all figured out. Draft's just about 6-7 weeks away. They better have it figured out, right? All right, we're going to go about another 10 more minutes here this evening, and then we're going to wrap things up. Pitt basketball continues to kind of sludge along. Not particularly good. They're probably going to make the Big East tournament and play one game. Only 15 teams get into the Big East tournament now. Or not the Big East tournament. Why am I even saying that? The ACC tournament. See where my mind is? I was watching some highlights from 2008 Big East final between Pitt and Georgetown and DeJuan Blair. That, you kind of relive what was, the last great era of Pitt basketball, 28, 2009, 10, 11. They got number one seeds. They were pretty strong teams, but they just couldn't get, over the hump. They couldn't get to the Final Four. I think Jeff Capel's probably going to survive somewhere. I think he'll survive. And if he manages to win a game in the Big East tournament, that'll probably help him further. I don't know if Pitt's going to get rid of him. I don't know if Alan Green has it in him to let Jeff Capel go. I'd probably give him one more year, try to figure this thing out. But it's sad to see Pitt basketball fall as far as it has. The program is just not Look, the football program aside, right? They had the ACC run a few years ago in Pickett's 22, right? They had that run. And so, now the basketball team is just, is in peril. They're just not good. They may not be the best team in the city. Duquesne or Robert Morris might be able to actually make that claim. And I don't know if you want to count Bobby Moe or not. But Duquesne might be better than Pitt. It's very possible. And that's never a good sign if you're Pitt. You don't want Duquesne to be better than you. You want to be better than Duquesne. That's just how it works. It's how it's supposed to work, at least. So you have this, this peril that Pitt basketball is in, and we'll see. They've got, I think, one more game left on the schedule, and then once that is done, they'll have figured out if they're going to make the Big East tournament or not. And as I'm looking at things here, they did win on Saturday. They went to California and they picked up a big win, which was good for them. I'm looking at their schedule right now. Their last regular season game is Wednesday against Florida State. So they end the Saturday at Syracuse. So Wednesday at home, the last home game, senior night on Wednesday at Florida State. And then on Saturday at Syracuse against their most bitter of rivals. They are still in a position to make the ACC tournament. We'll see how that all plays out. Any comments, you're welcome to drop them wherever you're at. If you're on our X page, if you're on our YouTube channel, we love to hear from you and get your thoughts on what you might have to say about Kyler Murray, anything about the Steelers. It's just one of these seasons where you're in this off season, this weird off season where the football season is done. You've kind of come through the Super Bowl, right? You're about a month out now. You're about 4 weeks out from the Super Bowl. Baseball season's not quite ready to start. Hockey had a 3-week break, right? The college basketball team stinks. Nobody really cares about the NBA in Pittsburgh. And the irony to that is, and I'm there too. I've gone to 2 NBA games in the last 3 weeks, and I've had a blast. Not going to lie. I'll tell you who's fun to watch is Charlotte. Young team, up-and-coming team. They're trying to push themselves into a playoff spot. I paid $4 to go see the Hornets, and then I paid $4 to go see Memphis. If I wasn't so sick and had I planned a little better, I'd probably be down in Columbia right now at the South Carolina game. Even though they're terrible and they're getting their teeth kicked in at home, they're playing Tennessee tonight. And that game's getting towards being the end because that game started at 6 o'clock. That was the other thing. I knew I had to do this show. And so I think that game has finally gone Fanucci. Let me see if I can pull this up. That's men's basketball. Let me pull that back up. I don't know what the heck's going on here. All conferences. What is going on here? That was today, Wednesday. I don't know where the Tennessee game went to. I guess is it final? Yes, it is final. Tennessee beat South Carolina 78-59. So when I saw that, I was just getting out of Rock Hill, and I'm like, and I just felt like poo. Like, yeah, okay, another time. And then I saw that Campbell College was playing, but they're like 3.5 hours away, and they wanted like $27 a ticket. I was like, no way. If I can find a cheap ticket somewhere, I'm a sucker for any sporting event. It doesn't matter. I'll go if a ticket was $1 and I was on the road and there was a professional, what's the new sport? It's not tennis. What do they call it? Why am I forgetting it all of a sudden now? If there was a professional league for pickleball and I was traveling somewhere and I was bored out of my mind and I could buy a ticket for $1, I'd probably go. I don't mind going to some sporting events. I don't like going to packed events anymore. The NBA games aren't bad because buildings half. I'd say the Charlotte game, there were probably 4,000 people at that game. The Memphis game, there might have been a little bit more. But not by a whole lot. So that's not too bad. Not a big crowd, cheap ticket, friendly staff, kill a couple of hours. I'm a sucker for it still, right? I won't go to an NFL game. Right, I'll go to the occasional baseball game. I went to a couple Paul Skeens starts last year. Yeah, obviously, this was like in April and May before the place got super jammed up. And, because people aren't going to, as good as Skeens is, you go see him in April on a Tuesday night, you're going to be able to get in with no problem. And the crowd's not going to be nearly as big, especially if it's 45 degrees. People aren't going out to a game in mid-April in droves to go see Paul Skeens, right? And I know they jack the prices up. They play with the pricing and it's surge pricing and all this crazy nonsense anymore, which is fine. You want to, stick me for $80 to go see Paul Skeens, I suppose, I'll find another way, to get in. But, there's opportunities to go see somebody good. And, as I'm traveling, I'm a sucker for it still. And I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to go up to New Jersey next week and do a little work. I'd try to catch a Big East tournament game. The conference tournaments are starting this week. Actually, they start tonight. Tonight or tomorrow, conference tournaments are starting. The smallest conferences, Patriot League, SoCon, some of the others, will start this week, and then next week, your biggies, your big boys will start. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You'll have a full-fledged run of all the majors. The mid majors, and then the big ones. Your P4s and your P5s will be hanging and banging. And then, of course, in 12 days, we'll have Selection Sunday and the round of 668. When's it going to go to 72? That's coming. They're going to continue to expand everything. College football is going to go to 16 games. Eventually, that'll be 24. I don't know if I like where college athletics is right now. I don't know if I like where college athletics is right now. It's not even close to what it was, 10 years ago. Let's just say 6 years ago, right? Before COVID, right? Before COVID, college sports was still somewhat college sports that we grew up with. There was obviously a lot more money now, but after COVID and NIL, and I'm not saying that the players don't deserve being paid for their name, image, or likeness. But what they have in place right now is it's a complete travesty to the sport. It's, kids can try to petition for 6-7 years of eligibility and make, if you're somebody who is not staring at a big career in the NFL because your size is better for the college game, and just because you just know, right? You just know that based on conversations that you're having with people, your whoever's representing you, you know that you may not have a big shot at an NFL career. So if you can petition and get a 5th, a 6th, a 7th year, and you can make $3 million, a college kid could make $15, $20 million and be set to help establish a business and a future that he knows the NFL is probably not going to provide because they just don't have the size or speed. Again, when you're talking about that level of professional sports, we're talking about the NFL. The college kids, all the top ones, even at the biggest schools, there's a drop-off. You might be a top-flight player at Oregon, but at your position, you might be a 6th or 7th round pick if you're lucky. Because your size and speed does not match what is at the NFL. No matter how much you train, no matter how much you put supplements in your body or do different types of workouts, your body is only going to give you so much. There's only so much muscle you can put on. There's only so much, speed you can crank out of your body. It's just, there are physical limitations. People reach physical limitations. And if you know what your physical limitations are and you measure that against the lower end of what people are doing professionally in the sport that you want to try to make a living in, if your physical limitations are on the low end, the chances of you making the NFL are very slim. So why would you not try to extend a career 5 or 6 years total in college and grab yourself $1,500,000, right? If you're you're good enough but not great enough to make 7 figures, but you can make $150,000 or $200,000. But before you get out of college 6 years, maybe you've got $500,000 where you can start a business. or prop yourself up and get yourself heading into life as an adult. And we know that doesn't happen. Wasn't it Odell Beckham Jr. just like declared bankruptcy? I think I saw that Odell Beckham had and he made like $100 million. These guys, they blow through the money. They blow through the money. It's terrible. I'm like, look, it's on them, but in the leagues, they do. I think they do a good enough job of giving rookies and players the understanding that, hey, your money's only going to last so long if you live a certain lifestyle. Some of them just don't care. They want to live that lifestyle, like Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather made, I think, $1 billion. He's broke. He's got to fight again. He's going to fight Manny Pacquiao. I saw that over the weekend, I believe. He owes, I think, Jake Paul like $1.5 million for something that they did a few years ago. He'll never see that money. He said that on a podcast recently. How do you blow through because of the lavish lifestyle? The gambling, the cars, the homes, having a posse of just, an entourage of people that you're paying, to be with you, to do things, to take care of things. And people, of course, steal. They grift. And players are too busy with Instagram and TikTok and all those other things that they're trying to build their as we close to wrapping up the show. I want to thank everybody who